Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat here real quick. Bitcoin daily chart, where's it doing right now? Well, it's trying to find support here on the daily at the kitchen. Sometimes things can just kind of consolidate sideways over here, and it just need to kind of backtest the daily kitchen like it did over here before the next lick up, right? It doesn't always have to find support there. You can certainly break down underneath of that. But right now we're on a bull trend. We're very much on a very parabolic bull trend. So I'm going to base on what happened last time we had a parabolic bull trend. Whenever you have things just kind of consolidate sideways here for like weeks and weeks, sometimes it just has to wait for the kitchen, the red line, to kind of catch up, right? Here during this bull trend, you can see that price just kind of consolidating sideways over here. A lot of people got really worried that this is like an exhaustive top, but next thing you know, Bitcoin just bounced off of the daily kitchen and just kind of went higher, right? So I think that right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to come back and test the cloud or anything like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to go down lower, even though it does have this like rounded top kind of look to it. Bitcoin does this all the time. Like Bitcoin does this all the time on the way up. This looks exhausted. This looks exhausted. It doesn't care. It just wants to keep going higher, right? This looks exhausted. It doesn't care. It just wants to go up higher. So Bitcoin does this all the time, and it's hard for me to say that it's necessarily going to have to come down to the 80,000s or something like that, what some people are calling. A lot of people are actually really scared right now. I feel like they're getting rejected here, and they feel like it's probably just going to keep going down a lot lower. As far as I'm concerned, I think that you have some strong support down here around 89,500 show it needed. But I just don't think it necessarily has to, right? Because again, you're kind of testing the kitchen here on the daily. And right now you've got a lot of wicks down here below, so I think there's a lot of demand. You have a lot of wicks over here, very, very nice trident look to it. Very, very much of a capitulation candle over here to the upside and downside to basically grab liquidity. And we got rejected here on the top of the arc as expected. There's really nothing unexpected here so far from price action. The only question is, are we finding enough support here on the daily for it to kind of go up a lot higher? Another support here too is the 20 daily moving average. It's also serving as support here too, right? So there's no reason to think that it has to break down, because 20-day moving average sometimes can just serve as support and just kind of push price up a lot higher. And that's where we are at right now. Big volume yesterday, but very, very nice wick. So to me, I think there's still a lot of demand. Can it break down? It can. If it breaks down, what's the level that's going to catch it before it gets down to 89,500? Well, it could go down to the low bull in Japan here around 93k, somewhere around there. All of these are entirely possible, but does it have to? No. I think sentiment has been kind of reset here a little bit from the bearishness that we've had. I think that we have to have these kind of capitulation events and these kind of liquidation events for price to be able to go a lot higher. And honestly, this is nothing compared to the grand scheme of Bitcoin. Like, this is nothing. I do think that given time, it's going to break out. Do I think it's going to keep on pushing, getting rejected here before going up higher? Maybe. And when price got up to the arc here, especially when you talk about the weekly chart, when price got up to the arc up here, and this weekly chart has been, showing some pretty decent market symmetry here, by the way, right? Arc after arc after arc, and here is the next arc. And you can see that once we got to the arc here, I just think that, hey, I don't think it's going to push right through. I see this area over here to be relatively similar maybe to this area over here. I think it's probably going to push into the arc here and probably going to go sideways here, but it just got rejected here at 1.272 fit level here and the arc here, right? It probably going to need some time for it to kind of push for at least a few weeks. So everybody who was saying, oh, it's just going to go to like six figures, just going to keep going a lot higher, well, you're at resistance. That's what happens. And now people are scared again, even though got a bunch of wicks here down below on the weekly chart looking like it wants to push into the arc. So we'll see what happens. There's never any guarantee when it comes to these kinds of things, but I just feel good about it. Right now, Bollinger Band continues to expand, on the weekly here. On the monthly, for Bitcoin, it also continues to expand. Right now, what price is doing is just basically trying to gravitate to the upper Bollinger Band here. Upper Bollinger Band here is $96,412. So if you ask me, does it have to go back down to like the 80,000, 70,000, back test 70,000 here? I don't think so. Okay, that's to me, I think as long as the monthly Bollinger Band is expanding, and I find this to be a very, very similar spot over here and here as opposed to over here, right? Where you start to have the monthly Bollinger Band start to expand, and also see that to be maybe a little bit more similar spot over here when you have some volatility here, which can certainly happen, but it's basically working on its way to kind of have a Bollinger Band expansion. That's kind of where I'm seeing where we're at right now. A little bit of a doji candle. Has only been a week and a half in for the month here, so forming a doji candle here, but I would not be surprised if it over the next few weeks after it's done consolidating, it could just keep going up from here. We'll see. I could be wrong. Again, I just told you I think 89,500 and 93,000 could be strong support levels down below. We'll see. Bitcoin doesn't have to do anything that we tell it to do, but actually looking at miners, well, before I talk about miners, just talking about Coinbase here real quick. Am I scared about Coinbase? No. I was entirely kind of expecting it to backtest some of the levels down here below on the weekly chart here, because you can see that the scan square has been working out pretty decently with these horizontals and the arc here serving as some pretty decent levels here as support and resistance. Push through into the arc here, spent a few weeks over here inside the arc, had a breakthrough candle last week, and have a backtest candle so far this week. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I think that we're going to end up finding support here at 0.886 here for the week. And I think this is probably just going to be a wick. And it basically just came back and backtest the angle over here. And if this turns out to be a wick, then it just basically backtest a very confluent zone angle arc and 0.886. If that's the case, then it would be extremely bullish for Coinbase, because if you're able to backtest at 0.86 and the arc here and it passed, then the next level is going to be the arc above here, around like basically double from here, right? I'm not bearish on Coinbase here at all. Like there's no reason for you to be bearish here at all. Even if it wicks underneath, even when it gets down underneath there, I'm not bearish here at all. Right now, pre-market's already back to like 318, which is close to 0.86. We'll see whether or not this all just turns out to be a little bit of a wick here to backtest before further bullish continuation. But I like the setup here for Coinbase. Now, if I'm wrong, if it breaks down to back to the arc down below to like the 270s, I think that's going to be another very strong support level. Do I think it has to go back down to 0.786? No, because you have a pretty decent high volume bullish engulfing candle that pushed through it already. And you already had a lot of struggle over here already. That's always a possibility to go back down to 245. But before you do that, there's a lot of support levels here that is holding Coinbase up. And I just have a hard time really seeing it going down that much further, but it could, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about the other ones here, especially about the miners. CleanSpark, I'm not worried about CleanSpark. Why? Because yesterday's bearish candle was really on like very low volume, not very low volume, but on relatively low volume, right? Which to me is kind of like meaningless. Mara, low volume backtest of 0.618, which is bullish, by the way. Like it's a very bullish thing where you have a breakout and backtest on relatively low volume, right? Bitfarms, low volume rejection off the arc here, no surprise, right? If you look at the weekly here, this artist on a weekly. I should look at a weekly here. I was hoping that it would break into the arc. Nope, got rejected here. We'll see whether or not this week we're able to break into the arc here for good. If we are, then you have some pretty bullish development here, because this arc has been serving as resistance here for the entire year of 2024. So I like to see it breaking into the arc. We'll see what happens. Cypher, on the daily chart, yeah, relatively low volume, got rejected here at 0.786 here. Do I expect that to just push through? No, not necessarily. You have a little bit of a wicks up here over the last 2 weeks. Come back down here underneath the 0.76 is understandable, but it's building up energy to try and push through. And I think the 0.786 is going to be a level that will need to be broken. If it gets broken, then you're talking about the arc here above, which is going to be like maybe like $10, $12, somewhere around there. I think those are pretty reasonable levels to hit. Iron, what's happening? Well, it got rejected here at the arc, right? Almost perfectly. 2 weeks in a row. Could it come back down to 0.76 around $13 and backtest? Sure. But it could also just be a little bit of a false breakout. It could just keep pushing up higher. I don't know. Right now, price is not really doing anything. It looks like it might want to come back down to $13.88. Backtest the 0.786 before further bullish continuation. It's gotten rejected here at the arc, so it could go down even further. Possible. We'll see how it reacts, right? Wolf, what is it doing? Got rejected at 0.618 level over here, and it's basically just coming back down. So far, it's finding support here at the Gann horizontal line over here, right? Could it go back down further? Sure, it can. There's always a possibility. Does it have to? No, because I also was not impressed by the volume here at all yesterday. Same thing with iron. I was not impressed by the volume here at all yesterday, right? BTBT, I was not impressed by volume here at all yesterday. It got rejected here at the horizontal Gann level. It just got rejected here, horizontal Gann level here on low volume. So I don't really care about low volume price action. Cores, trying to get back down to the angle. But again, same thing, right? Over the last 3 days, 3 trading days, price kind of gone down on low volume, meaningless. One thing that does have high volume was Riot. Riot, they have, I think they're talking about dilution again. And price, but what did the price do? It basically just came back, did a perfect backtest of 0.382. Perfect backtest of 0.382. Nothing really scary about these stocks, to be completely honest with you. And right now, pre-market, price looks like it's going to want to bounce up here a little bit. We'll see how it works, right? But that's what yesterday happened. Big volume, touch of the 0.382 almost perfectly. But you also broke above this arc over here. That was resistance back in July, right? And you back tested it. And right now, you're just back testing 0.382. So to me, I think Riot is still bullish. HUT, what did it do? Well, it's just kind of hanging out in space. It just kind of went a little bit too far, too fast. And it's just simply want to cool off. Does it want to back test the angle again, or 0.618 again before further bullish continuation to challenge the arc here above? Entirely possible. But I just, right now it's just kind of hanging out. And again, same thing with the rest of the miners yesterday. Bearish engulfing candle here, low volume, potentially easily reversible. Hive got rejected off of the 0.382. And it's fine. Like it's a decent volume here, but it's a little bit bearish engulfing. But the volume is less than the day before. So I actually think that this could potentially be easily reversible. But we do need to break through 0.382 fib level here before we get really bullish. I guess what I'm trying to say with all these stocks is they're doing what they're doing as expected based on their technicals, especially when you're talking about Bitdeer. You remember how Bitdeer just a couple days ago was talking about how it would get rejected. It was 1.236, how it's getting rejected here at the arc here. It got rejected, and that's what it's doing. But it looks like it wants to continue to kind of push through. So we'll see whether or not it has enough energy to really try and push through. Yesterday's volume is not bad, but right now it's just getting rejected where it's supposed to get rejected at. Does it ever come back down to like $14.75? Possible. These are very volatile stocks. Plus or minus 30%, within like a couple weeks is really nothing. So, but so far this is a bull trend. It's hitting resistance as expected. I would be cautious here. I would not buy Bitdeer here, but I think I'm also not going to like short or anything like that because this momentum is very, very strong to the upside. Anyway, I just want to give you a quick update on Bitcoin, Coinbase, and all these miners to share with you. There's really nothing surprising with the price action yesterday, especially since the volume is really not there for a lot of them. So I think it's just crap price action. I would not really pay it any mind, but you can freak out if you want to. Take care. Bye.